Hey guys, it's Vanity. Ezel back again with another card fight Vanguard. Ezel on the Vanity weekly reviews. If you guys enjoyed, don't like, comment, subscribe, and donate to Patreon. Let's get one started. Today we have a lot of V collection reveals, some reveals for Lyrical Monasterio. So let's go ahead and get this one started, shall we? First up, we have Rest After a Long Day Melmar, 6k base, 5k shield, grade 2, grade 1 with boost, continues guard circle. If you have 0 or 4 rear guards, this unit gets plus 10k shield. So either you have no rear guards whatsoever, or 95% of your board except for that one circle, and it's a 15k guarder. I say that's an interesting skill because I think that would be useful in some cases. Like in some cases, you'll need that 15k shield because I don't think a lot of people fill up their board at all during the entire time of the game, except for maybe the final turn. Or against like decks that kill rear guards, which I think are the more or less prominent decks at the moment, that could actually be useful because you'll most likely have 0 rear guards. So I give this thing like a 2 if it just has a tech option because it's a really good, easy to get 15k shield. And then we have our first V reveal for today, which is going to be Dragon Undead Ghoul Dragon. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base, active bind zone, counterpass 1 and retire rear guard. Choose up to 6 of your normal units in your bind zone, shuffle them into your deck. If you return 4 or more, you can call this card to rear. Okay, and auto rear at the end about the attack to Vanguard, soul boss 1, retire another rear guard. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So a way to kill a rear guard and a way to send units from bind zone back into deck. Now the thing is about Granblue is that there's only one unit currently, which is Dancing Cutlass, that can bind itself, or at least in V. So how is it supposed to get into the bind zone again? This thing. Witch Doctor of the Dead Sea, Negrobolt. Grade 3, Twin Drive Protective, 12k base. Auto Vanguard at the start of your ride phase or main phase. Bind all non-trigger cards in your drop zone. It is a mandatory effect. And Auto Van, when it attacks for every 10 cards in your drop zone, gets plus 1 critical. And all of your foreign units get plus 20. And Continuous Vanguard, for every 10 cards in your drop zone, all of your units get plus 5k shield. So this is how you get this into bind zone. So the worst part about this is it's ride phase and main phase. So you can't just like kind of set up your drop zone before you ride this and then ride this because you already missed the ride phase, because then you have to go into the main phase and you still lose the drop zone cards, which I don't know why they did it to ride phase or main phase. I really hope that was just a typo and it's meant to be just ride phase, but either way, you know that skill kind of goes against what everything Granblue stands for. But when you think about it, the second skill is literally for every 10, which is very easy to hit in Granblue in one turn. It's already a double critical in 32k power. And your whole front row gets the plus 20. So that's already pretty dangerous. But then when you can hit 20, and I know my friend Mandala can do this with ease, considering he's a quote-unquote true Granblue player, self-entitled, I didn't give him that title, he did it himself. That is plus 40 and double critical to this thing, so this thing has triple crit with 62 power, and then your rear guards, which one of them may or may not be a Skull Dragon, are swinging for big-ass numbers. Like, Negrobolt's really good, and then you know the 5k shield, which is actually really helpful for defending purposes, of course. Despite the fact Negrobolt kind of kills your entire purpose of the deck, this thing is the deadliest finisher, in my opinion, that Granblue has. Like, this thing turns everything into a Skull Dragon. If they are at 4 or 5 damage, and they do not have more than 2 PGs in hand, I pity them. Because, like, you need 3 PGs to stop this thing. Like, this thing is terrifying. Like, yeah, I've beaten it every time I fought it, but like by barely. Genuinely is because I had PGs and nothing else. So I give Negrobolt a just, if you think you can play this, because timing matters, play it at like a 4 of. But if you don't think you can play this, don't play it. But like, this is something where you don't just set up your drop zone beforehand. This is something that you gotta set up your drop zone minusculely, just get a bunch of triggers in there, and then ride this. The main phase happens, you don't bind, and then you just kind of mill out more on your own terms. So 4 copies. Next up, we have Ice Prison Hades Emperor Cocytus Relevasi. Grade 3, 200 Protective, 12k base. Auto drop zone at the end of battle, your grade 3 greater Cocytus Vanguard attack to Vanguard, so it can be himself or the original Cocytus. If it is the first battle of that turn, for some reason, counterblast 1, discard 4, lock all of your rear guards. If you have 5 or more locked cards, write this card as stand for, and for each of grade 3 in your soul, choose one of your locked cards, unlock it, and it gets plus, until end of turn, this unit gets plus 10. What danger is there in Granblue? Or to be more exact, what danger is there in Granblue where Cocytus is on the Vanguard and getting 4 attacks on first grade 3 turn is bad? Because you have to lock 5 of them in the first place. Like, you can counterboss 1 and discard 4 to counterboss 1 and discard 4, but for you to get this as a ride, you have to lock 5 rear guards, which means you can't just Skull Dragon one of your rear guards. So, what point is there in making this a first battle? Like, the half of the ability where it says lock 5, that's fine. But what point is there in making this the first battle of the turn? Because that, I don't know, and then like the unlocking of a unit, but only this one gets plus 10, like, not that good. First grade 3 turn, this is really bad. Second grade 3 turn, if you ride another Cocytus, it's okay, but otherwise, like, this card is meh, but then you also have the other ability, which is Auto Van. When this unit is attacked by anything, it can be a Vanguard or a Rear Guard, retire 3 Rear Guards for every 10 cards in your drop zone, gets plus 10. So it's really easy to hit 20 in this deck, especially because you're going to want to hit 20 on first grade 3 turn, just to like hit the 20k extra critical on the original Cocytus. But like, it doesn't do much, because you got to sack 3, and unless I'm forgetting of a Grand Blue card that when sacked, you call something from drop, I don't think this thing is particularly good. Now, does that mean it's bad? No. This is a good card for budget options, I believe. But, I don't know. Maybe it's just the first battle thing is what bothers me about this. Because there's no reason to restrict at the first battle. I don't think Cocytus is that dangerous in terms of V. Maybe in Premium, this is, like, terrifying as hell. Is it? I don't really know. But I don't think all of that was required just for this thing to get a superior ride, and then first grade 3 turn is just kind of sucky. I don't know. Like, this is an okay card. Definitely in the early game. First grade 3 turn, this thing sucks. But then second grade 3 turn, I think it would do good. I haven't got into second grade 3 turn because by the time I get to second grade 3 turn, I die. But 4 of, I guess. Next up, we have Secrets of Friendship Kukka, grade 3 Twin Drive Persona Ride, 13k base for a Lyrica deck, and specifically Clarissa. Active Rear Guard if you have a Vanguard Clarissa in its card name. You may pay the cost of Soul Blast 1 and retire this unit. If you do, look at top 7, call it to 1 Earnest Scout in its card name from among them, call it to an up new Rear Guard circle, and shuffle the remaining cards to your deck. So, Soul Blast, something that I don't think the deck Soul Blasts much. I haven't played Clarissa in a while, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't Soul Blast a lot. And I mean, besides like the one thing that is like Soul Blast 1 when your other Earnest Scout would be killed, bounce it to hand instead. This is pretty good, you know? You get a free Earnest Scout. I mean, not a free Earnest Scout, but it's a way to get an Earnest Scout to board if you're missing them. If only we had an Order Searcher. I swear we got an Order Searcher. I know we have an Order Searcher that's just generic for all of them, but I swear we had a specific Clarissa Order Searcher. Maybe I'm just being dumb. Either way, Kukka's really good. I like her for what she does. Like, she gets you a free Earnest Scout. Am I going to run this in my Clarissa deck? I have no idea. But if I do, I give it a 2 over 3 of. Next up, we have Dimension Police reveals and Eternity Chaser. 8k base, 10k Shiro, grade 1 with boost. Auto when it's rolled upon. Discard a card, reveal it to 1 grade 3 normal unit in your hand. If you do, search your deck for a grade 3 with a different name, reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So, when you ride on top of this, you get rid of a hand card. You gotta reveal a grade 3 that isn't a Heal Guardian, and then you search your deck, and I specify Heal Guardian because it has to be a normal unit, and Heal Guardians are trigger units, and you search your deck for an alternate grade 3. I can see this being useful in like certain decks. In Zero, I don't see this being useful at all, because I prefer to ride because I already did my Zero deck profile on this. I prefer to ride like the Zeal grade 1 over this, but Eternity Chaser is fine in that regard. Like, he gets you an alternate grade 3, so like in, what's the deck I'm thinking of? Dayusha. You can use this to like search 1 Dayusha, but in Zero, I don't think this does that much. And auto back a rearguard circle when your opponent's rearguard attacks. If that unit's power is 25k or less, Soul Blast 1, retire this unit. Choose one of your units until end of battle. It cannot be hit. Count the power of the boost as well. Okay, so it has to be so 25k swing. Okay, if you're on any grade 3 that isn't Zero, that's a 15k drop. That's not that bad. Like, this thing basically just becomes a PG to those. Except the problem with this is it costs a Soul Blast and it counts the boost. Like, any Force deck will hit over this with a booster. Hell, a lot of Force decks would probably hit over this without a booster. This thing is... Now, if it was like 35k or greater and it nullifies the attack, or like 30 to 35k or greater and it nullifies the attack, okay, that would be better. I mean, yes, it would still have to be a rear guard, but yes, that would be a lot better because, you know, it's a lot harder to guard them normally, and it's a higher range, so it doesn't become broken. That's what I wish Eternity Chaser did. 25k or less was only applicable to Zero, and there's no other reason to run that in the main deck besides just for its on-ride skill of things for Dayusha, of course. But I give this thing a 3 of if you choose to run it. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's bad either. Like, it's a step. It has a good idea, but then they kind of stepped a bit backwards with it. Next up, we have Endless Float. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Cool art, by the way. Same with this one. Auto, when it's rode upon, choose one of your Vanguards, gets plus 10 for the turn. Okay, with 0, that's a 10k base, and with any other grade 3, that's a 23k base. And then discard 1 to call it to rear. So you discard 1, you lose a soul, but you call it to rear. I guess that's fine. And auto rear, when this unit attacks, if your grade 3 unit was placed during your turn, this unit gets plus 5 for the battle. At the end of the battle, retire a draw card. So it's a 15k swing, and you can kill it to draw. I think this card is good. Like, I hate the fact that he can call himself from soul, because I don't think you need that. Like, I'm saying that's a bad skill. I mean, it's a cost skill, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But the discard one to call from soul is a met to me. The 5k swing and retire to draw a card, that's good. I give this thing like a hard 3 over 4, because that's actually a good grade 2 to ride upon. I just choose to ride my Ezel grade 2 over it, because if I'm going to ride the Ezel grade 1, I have to ride the Ezel grade 2. And then our grade 3 is Original Saver 0. They really wanted to stick to that naming thing because his base power is a fat 0. Grade 3 Twin Drive Force Gift. Auto, when this unit on Van attacks or is rode upon, it can attack anything. Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Draw a card, choose one of your opponent's units, and its power becomes 0 for the turn. Pick a Vanguard, bring it to 0. Pick a Rearguard, bring it to 0. Best thing is you can combine this with Zeal and put them in the negatives. That is literally what I did to win a game. I put them into negative 20s with a combination of this and grade 3 Zeal, and I outpowered them to death. That's what happens when you try. And then auto Vanguard once per turn. When this unit is attacked, discard a grade 3 from your hand. Until end of battle, the attacking unit's critical is either increased or decreased to 0. So, here's my thing on this. I wish it was either a once per turn, but discard anything, or not once per turn, but it's still discard grade 3. Why? Because I don't think Dimension Police, unless you're sitting on die liner for 95% of the game, then you go to 0 for some reason, will ever have that many grade 3s in your hand to constantly spam this out more than twice a turn, or within willingly spam this out within twice a turn. And as for the other one where it was once per turn discard anything, it would just be more consistent as you could just discard anything. And I remember when I was playing this, that's definitely how I felt, where I only had one grade 3 in my hand at a time, and I need to save that up for it, but I didn't want to discard that one grade 3 to minus critical, and I wish it was a discard of anything. So, that's what I wish 0 was. Is he still good? I call him an amazing budget grade 3, definitely something that is going to be fun for budget plays, but also he's weirdly enough an amazing grade 3 to sit on. Does that mean he's a finisher? No. Is he a part of a finisher combo of Zeal? Greatly, yes, or like anything that can get power. Yes, it's a great finisher combo with that. Now, like, all around, like, he's a really good card for things like that. Like, you sit on him for a short while because he can at least act as a kind of like a PG, as long as you have grade 3s in hand, because he decreases the critical. Now, if they, like, see a crit during their drive check, of course, he can, the critical will go back up to 1, but still, 0 does his job well. I like him for it. I give him a 4 of, because he's actually, like, a good grade 3 to sit on. Next up, we have Witches for Oracle Think Tank. Citrine Witch Mumu, AK base 10k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto when it's rode upon by a unit with Witch in its card name, draw a card. So, a free Circle Magus. You ride this on top of your starter. Let's just assume you went first. Draw a card. Cool. You get to your next turn. Ride a grade 2. Skill. Draw a card. Cool. There's also a grade 2 that says when ridden from a grade 1. Discard 1, get a Protect Gift. So, yeah, that's really good. And then act Rearguard, Soul Boss 1, and rest this unit. Look at top 5, choose up to 3 witches and their card names, reveal them, choose one of the revealed cards, put it to your hand and shuffle your deck. If you did not reveal 3, you put this to soul. So you can purposefully just reveal 2, I mean regardless, as long as you revealed 1 that goes to your hand, and if you revealed 3 then it gets to stay on board, but honestly I would just purposely reveal 2. I mean, I've always seen like 2 anyways. There's never been a time where I've actually seen 3, but she gets to send herself to soul, which is really nice, just to refund her for the cost. So all around, this card's really good. Like, witches don't use that much soul, or at least with my witch deck, it doesn't use that much soul, and it has like 2 soul charges, with this being one of them to some extent. And it can get you a search, and it's just a really good grade 1 ride ability, and witches don't really have that many good grade 1 rides, so 4 of. Next up, we have Jade Witch Te Te. For some reason, I thought she had a Vanguard skill, or actual Rearguard skill, but she still has a good skill, but nonetheless. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Auto when it's discarded from your hand during your turn if you have a Vanguard witch in its card name, Soul Boss 1, call it to rear. So there's a witch that can discard during the battle phase, which means you can just call this during the battle phase, but via cost of Soul Blast. You can call it when you're using a Protect gift during your turn somehow. I don't know how you would do that, but I feel like that's like what the next witch card's going to do. Obviously, you can't do it during the opponent's turn because it does blatantly say during your turn. but no, it does have to be during, yeah, it Blank during your turn. But either way, that's still good. Like, she can call herself, and auto when it's placed on guard circle. Choose any number of your sentinels from your hand, discard them, and this unit gets plus 20k shield for each of those cards. So for the people who think, because witches can just make a bunch of protectives really easily and just main sentinel spamming, for the people who think that sentinel restrictors will stop this deck from being good, TT. Just TT. Discard 3 sentinels, 65k shield. It's already more than an overtrigger. I don't need to say more about this. 4 of it's a really good card. Next up we have, there is a correct way to pronounce this as Bushiroad has given us, so let me just make sure that I get this pronunciation right, because I don't want people coming after me for it. I believe it's called Benitoite Witch. I just want to make sure of this. Where is it on Discord? There it is. It is pronounced Benitoite Witch Yo Yo. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Protect Gift, 12k base, Auto, Vanguard, or front or rear guard circle. At the end of the battle, your Vanguard with Witch's card name attacked a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. If it is the first battle of that turn, counterblast 1, discard 2, you can just discard this and call it. Choose up to 1 grade 3 with Witch's card name from your hand and write it as stand. So she can superior ride herself. I mean, no, so yeah, she can superior ride herself. Granted, it's the first battle, which sucks, because if it wasn't the first battle, this deck is genuinely broken. I have tested it without the first battle on accident. Yeah, that's broken. And if it wasn't the first battle, I mean, either way, it's still really good. You get to a superior ride. The best part is, it doesn't even have to be on Van for this. It can just be in front of rear guard circle. And auto, when it's rode upon you, you can either call it to rear guard or get an imaginary gift protect. So you get another protect gift along with the superior ride, with the most likely giving you another protect gift, or you could just call it to another rear guard circle and then you get another attack, and you probably discarded this with it, so you get another attack. This deck can hit 5 attacks in a turn. Wait, no, it can't, because the way the things are ordered, unfortunately, means it can't be 5 attacks. It has to be 3. But either way, Yo-Yo's still really good. Gets you extra gifts. Can make a small column if you had no board, really, and allows you to keep hand cards. All around, she's really good. Like, she's definitely a 4 of Witch. Like, she's one of the better Witches, I say. Like, you combine this with Zozo, you got a really good finisher on your side. 4 of. And then we have Beast Deities. The ones where, I don't know how main phase Beast Deities were going before this, but this thing, the new Mythic Buster definitely brings back the purpose of main phase attacks with Beast Deities. So Beast Deity Max Beat, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto when it's placed on Van or rear, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or lower Beast Deity from among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. If you put a card to your hand by this ability, and this unit is on rear, rest it. So he doesn't rest himself if he's on Van, which is really good. So like, you can still afford to ride this and not get screwed over by it. But also, he gets you a search for free, and he can search pieces. I remember 2 days ago, me and my friend were testing this out in Premium. He needed not Premium, MV. He needed a certain card. I mean, he was going to win anyways, but he wanted, like, Lift Tauros. Actually, no, he didn't need Lift Tauros to kill me because his Vanguard was rested, and he had no main phase attackers because we didn't think... Actually, no, he had no main phase attackers in hand. What ended up happening, he called Max Beat. Look at top 3. Gets another Max Beat because it doesn't say he can't search himself. Get it to hand. I forgot what his other 2 were, but he sends them to bottom. Calls Max Beat again. Rest it. Look at top 3. Gets another Max Beat. Sends the other 2 to bottom. Calls Max Beat. Uses skill. Look at the top 3. Guess what he saw? A Brainy Papio. He sends the other 2 to bottom as Brainy Papio to hand. But guess what he does now? He calls Max Beat. Skill Max Beat. Look at top 3. There's a Tauros. Yeah, Max Beat, Max Beat can loop, and all around this thing's really good. Get you hand, get you Beasties for free. 4 of, like, this is a good card nonetheless. Next up is Beast Deity Brainy Papio, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Auto, when it's discarded from your hand during your turn, you may call it to rearguard as rest. So you can discard it for the cost of your Ethics Buster, and he just gets a free call. And Auto Van or Rear, when your Vanguard of Beast Unit's card name attack hits, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, draw a card, choose up to 1 grade 2 or lower Beast Deity from your hand, call it to rearguard, it gets plus time for the turn. At the end of the turn, return that rearguard to hand. So, pay all the type of cost, but you do get a draw, and you get a Beast Deity out of it who can guaranteedly hit unless they see a trigger, and it goes back to hand at the end of the turn. So I think Brainy Papio is really nice. I don't think it's a 4 of card just because, like, I don't like paying Counterblast and Soul Blast at the same time unless it's for a main grade 3. So I think it's like a 3 of in my book, but it's definitely a good card nonetheless. And then we have Deadliest Beast Deity Ethics Buster Vivas. A lot of people hate this. A lot of people think it's bad. A lot of people think it's good. I'm in the middle where I'm not saying... Actually, I'm not in the middle. I'm on the side that is good. I acknowledge why people think it's bad, but it genuinely is good. It's just a matter of
play style or like combos that you pull off. Grade 3 25 Excel gift 12k base. Auto Vanguard, when your rear guard attacks, if this unit is stand, lock that card. That means your opponent doesn't guard and the attack doesn't go through. Auto Van, when this unit attacks, this unit gets plus 5k for the turn. At the end of the battle, discard 1, choose 3 of your locked cards, unlock them, and retire those units. If you retire 3, stand this boy. Now once per turn, so you can just keep using this over and over and over again. And Auto Van, when this unit attacks, hits, Soul Blast 1 Beastie, the Ethics Buster, gets plus 1 drive for the turn. So first you ride Ethics Buster, you make plays, you try to survive, you ride reverse. You use Ethics Buster skill, swing with reverse. Now your opponent has 2 choices here. Either guard it and this boy restands, or take it and this boy loses the drive, but then you Soul Blast and get the drive right back. Here's the thing though. Because of how its effect is worded, and because beasties have a lot of main phase attackers, what you could do is if they guard this, call your main phase attackers, swing, and then they don't get locked. They restand if they fail to hit or not. And then you have cards like Lift Tauros, when placed, who can stand the Vanguard. And then you can go into your battle phase and still get multiple attacks. A lot of people say it's too gimmicky. A lot of people say like having Black Tortoise, Eclair Dragon just to like support this boy is too much. But in all fairness, like the deck works with it. You get a lot. You can get 3 Vanguard. No, wait. 1 with the Ethics Buster regular. 1 with this guy's normal swing. At least 1 restand. You can get about like 8 hand. I think you can get like 4 Vanguard attacks in one go, and that's 8 drive checks. And you're only ever discarding 1 per each of them. So let's say you discard 2 for Ethics Buster, you discard 4. So you're getting 4 drive checks, technically speaking. You get 8 drive checks, but you're getting 4 hand cards out of it. Reverse is really good. You can say it's gimmicky if you want. I agree, it is gimmicky. Does that mean it's bad and that it doesn't work? Hell no, I have literally died to this in the dumbest way possible. Is it partially my fault for being stupid about it? Yes, but did it kill me fairly? Yes. If you think it's bad, you think it's bad. But if you think it's gimmicky, you think it's gimmicky. But in my opinion, this thing is actually really good. It's just a matter of how you play it is what will make it bad or good. 4 of. Next up, we have Nocturnal Parting Irene. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, double rare, 8k base for Felty Rosa. Auto rear guard, when this unit boosts a ghost normal unit, it can be the Vanguard, it can be a rear guard. This unit gets plus 2k for the battle. At the end of the battle, you may put the boosted rear guard on the bottom of the deck. But basically what this card does is just gives you an extra way to get rid of some from or rear guard circles. And as you know, Felty Rosa only works with open from or rear guard circles. And she also acts as a 10k booster, so overall, like, this card is really good. I give her a 4 of. Like there's no reason to run out of less than a 4 over 3 of in a Felty Rosa based deck. Next up we have Dungaree. Narukami reveals. This thing is both stupidly good and stupidly bad at the same time. There's a reason why I say stupidly bad, and we'll get to it in a second. So 8k base, 10k shield, grade 1 with boost is our Exorcist Mage Mimi, or Mimu. Mumu. I don't know how to say it. Auto, when it's wrote upon, look at the top card of your deck, bind it, or put it in the top of your deck. So either you look at the top of your deck and you either bind it or just keep it there. Well, it's a good thing it just does what Keter does and allows you to keep possible triggers there. And act rear guard once per turn if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 2 or greater. Soul Blast 1, bind a card from your hand and draw a card. So Soul Blast to draw, basically. No, Soul Blast just to swap a hand card. Honestly, that's pretty good. It only requires the opponent's grade to be a thing, not your grade, so you can use whatever you want. You can have an excess amount of soul in this deck because Dungaree doesn't cost anything for any of its skills. The grade 2, I believe, is the counterblast, and then this thing just does it for soul. So, honestly, a really good grade 2. I mean, grade 1, and I like it, so 4 of, especially in a Dungaree deck. Next up, we have Exorcist Mage Ren Ren. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Auto, when it's wrote upon, counterblast 1, look at the top 2, choose up to one of the cards, bind it, and put the other into hand. So you either take 2 cards to hand from top 2, or you put 1 into bind zone. Now, you can just run this in any deck that isn't Dungaree, and then just get an on, wrote upon, counterblast 1, draw 2. Because that's what this is. It's either... that's the good part about this. You can put it in any other deck, and it immediately becomes a counterblast 1, draw 2. So that's nice. And act rear guard once per turn, counterblast 1, bind a card from the top of your deck. And for each grade of the card bound for this cost, it gets plus 5k power till end of turn. If a grade 0 is bound, draw a card. So if you bind a grade 3, plus 15, bind a grade 2, plus 10, bind a grade 1, plus 5, bind a grade 0, draw. Now... this thing is probably one of the better versatile ones. Like, okay, this one, I guess, nets you a draw, but like the other decks are kind of Soul Blast heavy. This one, while the other decks are somewhat Counterblast heavy, it is now an on-road upon, go to your grade 3, draw 2, and it can net power, which is what, like, I think the other, I'm not gonna say all the Narukami decks struggle with power, but like definitely something that the Narukami decks would definitely appreciate. Like, this grade 2, if nothing else makes it out of this set, this grade 2 at least will make it out of the set into every deck build, because that's honestly a really good skill. I don't know if Narukami has, like, because I'm not Narukami, but I'm pretty sure Narukami doesn't have as many good, like, grade 2 on-road upon skills like this one, 4 of in any Narukami deck. And then we have our main grade 3 for the Dungaree build, which is obviously Sealed Demon Dragon Dungaree. Grade 3, triple drive. I didn't stutter, that is triple drive. Excel gift, 17k base, and a critical of 2. So already this thing is good. Like, because it has some of the best skills in the game, or like at least best, not skills, but best stats in the game, because 17k base on a grade 3, nothing is hitting over this. Which is, or like without a booster, so already that's really good. And then the double crit, always for pressure, triple drive, I don't need to explain it. So its skill is auto Vanguard at the start of your battle phase. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you may bind the top card of your deck, so that's really good. Get your free bind. And it's not a mandatory bind, so you can choose not to bind if you don't want to. And auto Van rear, when this unit attacks, it put all the cards in your binds on to drop, put form of the following according to the number of cards put. It is a mandatory effect. I don't know why, but she's getting really trigger happy with the cards that are really good having mandatory effects. His mandatory effects are for each one put. So if you put 2 or less cards from your bind zone to drop, he loses 10k power, 1 critical, and 2 drives. So he goes down to a 7k swinger, which is less than a normal grade 1, 1 critical with 1 drive. Whew, he put 2 or less, that guy gets nerfed so badly until end of turn, so thankfully it doesn't last for both players' turns. 4 or more, so if you just put 3, you're safe. But 4 or more, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and binds it. Okay, not too bad. And 5 or more, you choose up to 3 cards from your drop zone, return them to the deck, and shuffle it. Okay, even though there are only like 3 cards that... Okay, even though there's only 3 cards from this set that self-bind, there is a specific knight, I forgot what his name is, but I run him in my deck. Boys on place like bind a rear guard, that thing's really, and it gets plus 10 during your turn, that thing's really helpful in this deck. But Dungaree, I think his skill is kind of like subpar. They definitely put a weakening skill, because otherwise this thing's just broken, because 17 base power is going to be already hard to hit, and then it's easier to swing double critical. Everyone's going to PG this, and with triple drive, hell no. In premium, this thing's a threat as hell. Yeah, I like, its skill is like returning 3 cards to deck. That's fine, because it allows you to keep binding from deck, and then your opponent chooses a hand card and bind it. Okay, in the later game, if you keep getting that effect off, it's going to be really easy. So all around, Dungaree is like, from that test game, Dungaree was so terrifying to beat. Like, yeah, I beat it with Zeal 0. This was the deck I was referring to that I brought it to -20, but for the love of God, this thing was scary having to stare down. You have no idea how it feels to be stared down by 2 crit, 17k triple drive, beat stick to the face. All around, Dungaree is really good, very powerful. This is like Excel decks. I don't want to say Excel decks needed power, but like if we're going to olden Excel decks, back when razors were a thing, not the old collection set with razors in it, but like perfect razor was main grade 3. If we go back to those days, Excel decks needed power. This thing is a testament to that statement, for the love of God. Now our next cards are one for Lyrical Monasterio again, because as you know, we're getting more Lyrical Monasterio stuff, because Bushy being cornered with the Lyrical Monasterio stuff, they're going to keep posting Lyrical Monasterio stuff. For the love of God, I said that so many times in 12 seconds. Wakey World Elisa. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. On a rear guard, when this unit boost, if you sang Romantic Happiness this turn, you may soul charge 1. If you don't know what Romantic Happiness is, I'm 95% sure it is that one grade 1 order from Lorno that is like, I believe it's when it gets sung, you draw a card and someone gets plus 5k. I might be wrong on that, but I'm 95% sure that what that is. I know for sure it's the grade 1 order, I just don't remember what skill it is. But yes, that is basically what she does. So really good, she nets you a soul charge. I don't remember if Lorno really costs soul or not. Lorno was my least favorite deck to come out of, like, Lyrical Monasterio, and I'm fine with saying, like, I hated it, because normally I say I love every deck. Yeah, obviously that's not true. I do love most decks, but Lorno's just not one of them. Like, I didn't really connect with Lorno at all. I like some of her cards. I didn't like the entire aspect of Lorno herself. I don't know if they focused on soul charging, though, or, like, needed it. If they needed soul charging, this is a good card, but if they didn't, then 3 of, I guess. Next up we have... Oh, God. Next up we have Spike Brother reveals... We have Machine Gun Kelly, Machine Gun Gloria. Who's Machine Gun Kelly? I don't know. Grade 1 and boost, 10k short, 8k base. I gotta say, I love that art, and I love how she's not afraid to show the blatant disregard for safety, but also, like, geez, this, like, card art's really good. Like, you can, I don't know what I like about it. Like, it shows, like, it kind of deserves to be on the field. I don't know why. I love this card. Like, if I ever put this on rear guard, I'm never going to use its skill, because its skill involves it killing itself. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto, when this unit's retired from guard circle, counterblast 1 call to an epic rear guard circle. So a rear guard, so guardian that can become a rear guard. Okay, we already know I love this skill, because, like, I hate having to discard cards for guarding purposes, and then I never get to use them in combos. Yeah, she fixed my problem. Oh wait, the last time I tried doing this, I never drew into the card in the first place. Why did these cards hate me? They have such good skills and skills that I will appreciate, but they never come to my hand. And then auto rear, at the end of the battle that boosted a rear guard. Put 2 rear guards in the same column as the unit on the bottom of your deck in any order to draw a card. Yes, that implies it has to be this one as well, unless you can manage to get a 3rd unit in this column. With, like, legioning on rear guard, you're gonna have to send itself to bottom. Unfortunately, that means it has to boost a rear guard. I mean, it says it has to boost a rear guard anyways, but it's a way to net a draw, a way to open rear guard circles, and because you can just abuse the crap out of, like, open rear guard circles with Dudleys and what the new reverse one does, yeah, Gloria's a good card, so I give her a hard 4 of in any Dudley deck. Unless it's named, well, maybe not in any Dudley deck, but a 4 of in every Spike Brothers deck, more or less. Next up, we have Agile Fullback. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. This knockoff of High Speed Bracky and, what's it called? The one grade 2 from Spike Brothers that if you shove it in with the GBA becomes an inevitably broken loop combo. Auto, if this unit is placed on the center back or rear guard circle. Wow, they specified it has to be that one circle. And until end of turn, this unit can attack from back row, and if it was placed by a card's ability, it gets plus 10 for the turn. So if you call it the back row normally, and it has to be specifically the back row center, you get an extra swing. But then if it's called by effect, it also gets plus 10 on top of that. So for some reason, they thought Spike Brothers just having 5 attacks and all of them hitting for over 20k and for 15k drops, unless you're playing against now what is now known as Dungaree, wasn't good enough for Spike Brothers. So now they've decided instead to take Magnolia's shtick, but then make it just what freaking Lattice was supposed to do. I'm sorry, Fullback, but why are you a thing? I mean, the only way they could have restricted this is a center back row, because otherwise Dudley gets extremely broken very quickly. Or maybe not Dudley, but Spike Brothers in general would get very broken very quickly if this wasn't center back row. So you know what? Let's just say this is a good card for that alone. And then auto rear at the start of your main phase, put it to Soul Search, defer to 1 copy of it, call it to Vanguard off your deck. Okay, so it stole Wonder Boys, it stole High Speed Brackies, it stole Juggernaut Maximal, it stole all their skills, just shoving itself to Soul to get another copy. Does Spike Brothers need Soul? I personally argue no, unless you're going like Dead Heat Bolt Spike route / like Rising Nova. But yeah, Fullback, 20k swing from back row in a deck that can multi-attack, and you can just send it to bottom, then call it right back, and then do it again and again and again. Didn't we just have a problem with Greedon and Rising Nova and Dudley being shoved in the same deck? Bushy, why are you making more cards that make more combos broken? You're gonna have to make another ban list again. God damn it, Bushy. 4 of, I guess. I don't know about this one. Then we have Demonic Grade 2 Emperor. Dudley Emperor Reversity! Yes, to all of you who hate me for doing this every time I see a reverse unit, I'm never going to stop doing it. You're just going to have to deal with it. And if you don't like it, then never show up when I do a reverse unit reveal. So, Grade 3, Twin Drive, 4 Skiff, 13k base. I almost thought I read that wrong because I forgot Dungaree was a thing. Auto Vanguard, when your rear guard is put into your deck during your battle phase, lock a standing rear guard. What is with the cards of multi-attack decks and locking rear guards? Okay, this one I can actually understand though, because Beast Deities couldn't really hit for much numbers unless you really went full tryhard. This one can shift gifts around, and while Dudley Emperor on his own isn't chaos, we all know what any grade 3 is capable of with Rising Nova. We don't, like, I'm not even going to argue on this one. I argued for reverse, I'm not going to argue on this one. This is what reverse could have done. Lock a stand rear guard until end of turn. This unit gets +10. And if your opponent's Vanguard's a great 3 discard 1 gets a drive. Okay, if they stopped the skill there, if they just stopped the madness there, I would say 10 out of, well, not, maybe not 10 out of 10, because I feel like a main grade 3, especially a reverse unit, should have 2 skills, but like 8 to 9 out of 10, just because like, you lock a stand rear guard, boy gets +10, and you can get an extra drive, and it's now once per turn. This is quite literally, especially because your decks don't need boosters, because you can just shift around force markers. This is literally what the Ethics Buster could have been if Ethics Buster was a force deck. This is what that could have been. But then Auto Van, when this unit attacks, if you have no grade 2 or lower units on either your Vanguard or rear guard, but considering this has to be on Vanguard, and the only other way to get this off when it's on rear guard is to use Rising Nova, which means it's physically impossible to use that skill if the Vanguard, that's not important. Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, search deck for up to 1 normal unit, call it to an empty rear guard circle, and shuffle your deck. So first off, he does require you to have no grade 2 or less units for some reason. But in exchange, you can literally call any normal unit from your deck. So you can call the old Dudley Emperor. You can call Lucifer, get a counter charge. You could literally call whatever the hell you wanted from your deck, as long as it was a normal unit. So, this son of a bitch. Okay, I'm gonna give this the same review that I gave, what's it called? Ethics Buster. It is gimmicky because it requires you to lock a standing rear guard. But considering you don't need boosters, I don't we can argue every day that the boosters help, but in the same argument I made for my reasons to not run Persona rides, just because they help, it doesn't mean you need them. Especially in a deck like I just shift around force markers. Okay, on its own, I don't think Emperor is that bad. I still think it's good. But when you shove this in with Rising Nova, I don't even need to explain what chaos will occur. We all know chaos will occur. I don't need to say shit. Reverse is a good card. 4 of somewhat gimmicky as heck, because you have to lock standing rear guards like Ethics, but he gets far more power than Ethics. It is not a once per turn like Ethics, but once more power. And he can literally get you a free call for anything. And when you shove this into premium with Greed on, he is incredibly broken. Or will be probably incredibly broken. I'm willing to bet money on it right now. 4 of. Straight up. Broken as hell. Or cool as hell.
And then our last few reviews for today are Fruiting Jewel Knight Eunice, Grade 1 Boost, 10k Shield, 8k Base, Auto Rear Guard. At the end of the battle with this unit boosted, choose one of your normal units from your drop zone and put on the bottom of your deck. Soul Charge 1 if you do, and if you Soul Charged, you may return this card to your hand. So, really nice that you can bounce your normal units back to your deck, meaning you can circle more Jewel Knights out of deck. You get a Soul Charge out of it, which Jewel Knights may or may not have had a soul problem in the past. So, it's really good for that, and she can bounce herself to hand as a 10k Shield. And then Auto Van Rear, when your other unit is placed on top of it, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and send calm as it, or as a placed unit, basically the seems to call them, and retire it. If no use for retire, draw a card. So now you can place this on Vanguard early, and then get an extra draw during your first turn unless your opponent really called something behind Vanguard, or you can just use it to get a kill in the late game, or you can just use it to get a draw in the late game all around. Use is pretty good, get you a free bounce, get you a free soul, sends the unit back. 4 of. Next up we have Dogmatize Jewel Knight Sybill, Grade 2 Intercept 5k Shield, 10k Base, Auto Van Rear. When this unit attacks, put 1 Grade 2 or less card from your hand into Soul, and draw a card. Okay, pretty good free skill, works on Vanguard or Rear Guard, gets you an extra Soul and you get a draw. And Auto Van Rear, when your other unit is placed on this unit circle, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Grade 2 or less card with Jewel Knight and its card name from among them, call it to Rear Guard, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So, if she's called on top of, you get to look at top 3, you get a call of maybe a booster or another attacker, and the rest go to bottom. The best part is you can still call that unit on top of the unit that was placed on top of this unit, so you can get more on place effects. Sybill is really good, allows you for deck thinning, because that's literally what this deck can do. Get you a free soul and a draw card just by swinging regardless of where she is. All around Sybill is really good for, that's why I like Jewel Knight so much. Their grade 1s and 2s typically don't cost anything, or maybe the previous grade 1 did, but And they get to activate a bunch of free abilities just by being placed on top of, and their skills are always auto Vanguard or Rear Guard, which means they're so interchangeable between the two, and that means every card is a good Rideline card. And then we have Leading Jewel Knight Salome. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Force Gift, 13k base. I definitely think this thing's a good card. Auto Vanguard, once per turn at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. Counterblast 1, choose any number of cards in your hand with Jewel Knight and their card names. Call into rearguard circles with units on them. Then if you call 3 or more units, and your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast Force stand it. So it's definitely pretty powerful. Getting a Vanguard restand is always really good. But then, in a Force deck with a Vanguard restand, that's even better. Followed by you only have to call 3 units in a deck that can just call multiple units at once. And the downside is you have to call them on top of other units, and your opponent has to be grade 3 or greater. Pretty good, and granted, the Soul Blast 4 is only a part of the second half where you have to stand a unit, so if you just counterblast 1 to call extra hand cards, you don't have to call 3. And auto Vanner Rear, when your other unit is placed on top of this circle, counterblast 1 of that unit gets plus 10k in a drive for the turn. So we all knew it was going to give a drive based off of how it worded it in the blurb, but triple drive on a Vanguard and at least 23 to a grade 3, or like another number if you give it to like a grade 2 or a grade 1. Either way, Salome is amazing. Get you a restand, get you a board, gets power, gets drives. Combined with Ashley and Jewel Knights are probably going to be really good for Salome. And then we have the last reveal in terms of collection sets, which is Amon cards. Amon's follower Fu Gremlin, or Greenland, 9k, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. On hacked Vanguard or Rearguard once per turn, put 1 hand card into your soul, draw a card, your opponent chooses a card from their hand, puts into their soul, then your opponent may draw a card. So very interesting. You know, you guaranteedly get to pay the cost and get a draw. They are forced to put a hand card into soul, but they do not have to draw. So that is really interesting because it has the May clause on it. And then auto rear, at the start of your battle phase, if your opponent has 6 or more soul, you may soul charge 1. If you soul charge, choose one of your units, gets plus 5 for the turn. Really nice that he can just pump up himself or pump up another unit just by soul charging 1, but your opponent also has to have 6 or more souls. So you're playing against a deck that soul blasts a lot. This isn't going to do you much good. So Fu Grenlin, I do give it a 4 because I know Amon can constantly get them to 6 soul. But if you're not playing as Amon, you're not going to get to 6 soul, so 4 copies. Amon's follower Roan Grenlin, or Geenlin, now he has a dragon, grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 9k base. Auto, when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, soul charge 1. Your opponent chooses up to 1 card from their hand or Rearguard and puts into soul. If they did not pick, you soul charge 1. So you get a free soul charge guaranteed. But then either your opponent is willing to give up a hand card or a Rearguard, and if they don't, you get another soul, which can be dangerous knowing that you play Dark Regulars deck, and even if you're not playing full Amon, that's still pretty dangerous. And continues your Rearguard, a guard circle. If your opponent has 6 or more cards in your soul, this unit gets plus 10k power and 10k shield. So 19k swinger and 15k shield at all times is pretty good, makes it hard to hit over, makes it a really good interceptor, and its first ability is free, making it so that the only way for your opponent to stop you is if to give up something from either hand or Rearguard. Our unrun Grenlin's pretty good, and I give this a 4 of. Our last card for the day is Demon World Maquis, Amon. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Protect Gift, 12k base. Act Vanguard once per turn, put 1 Rearguard and 1 hand card, and 1 card from your drop zone into your soul. So soul charge 3. Okay, already that's pretty good. And your opponent chooses 2 cards each from their rear guards, hand, and drop, puts them into their soul. If your opponent did not put 6, this unit gets plus 1 drive for the turn. Where did I see a familiar skill that sends 6 cards to soul at once? Or 6 cards to somewhere else at once? Oh, right. Seraph Pure Light. They ripped that straight from Seraph Pure Light. You get a free 3 soul, and your opponent has to lose 2 hand cards, which they're always going to have unless they're playing a rush deck, and does not choose up to. They do it as much as they physically can, which means if they have 2 hand cards, they're going to put 2 hand cards in there. And they pick 2 drop zone cards. If you're playing Gramble, it's not going to be a problem. And they pick 2 rear guards, which most people have, shove them to soul, and if they didn't, this boy gets triple drive. So there's no point in trying to play conservatively against this thing. And continues Vanguard or Rearguard. During your turn, for every 6 cards in your soul, he gets plus 5, and if it's on Van, it gets plus 10. God, so boy swings for 22. On his own, if you have 6 cards in soul, if you're playing Turbo Amon, which I know my friend's gonna do, boy will hit like 52 really quickly. And continuous Vanguard, for every 6 cards in your opponent's soul, gets +1 crit. So either you play conservatively and this thing gets triple drive, or you don't play conservatively and this thing gets +1 crit. And the best part is, only one of these cards... Oh wait, sorry, let me rephrase that. None of these cards cost any form of counterblasting. And this one just costs a discard. Technically 2 if you count the rear guard, you have to shove to soul. Amon is definitely interesting. Seems really good. I'm not going to say this is broken as Salome over here, because Salome can just net you a board and a restand, but I'm definitely going to say Amon is a deck where against a lot of Soul Blasters, it can punish people for it if they play it stupidly. But Amon can do a lot very scarily for so little, and then you combine it with other dark or regular soul charging resources, because you don't have to use counterblast for these boys. Amon might hit like a truck. That's all I'm going to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, don't forget the Patreon, join Discord, follow the Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.